Dude, I'm in a meeting. So initially, what drew me to this project was that coincidentally or non-coincidentally, it was coexisting in the same parallel plane with the album I was working on called Draculo, which is a folklore of a Cuban vampire that can live in the day because of a vitamin that he drinks inside papaya. And it was along the same vampire folklore style. So I was like, this is cool to explore. And then, you showed me your other movie and I was like, this is cool. This is going to be different. And it was a feature. And I loved that there was not much dialogue. And then while we were shooting, I loved it because I felt creeped out myself. The set, and when I landed, it was at night. I just met all you guys. Everybody was amazing. And then I saw what we were doing and I was struck with like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'd never seen camera effects that cool. I felt creeped. I felt like I was a lurker. It was foggy the whole time I was there. It was cold. And literally I would walk from the Airbnb to the set. It was one house away. Eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, shoot all day, and then walk back. Coffee, donuts, vegan donuts, sushi, Andrew sushi, and filming. And then at the end, we would puff and talk about it, and think about the next day. There was days we would look at some footage at the end. The high was coming from just what cool footage we were getting. And maybe the one day we went to the lake, which was frozen, I was like naked or half naked. That was epic. But I felt rejuvenated from filming. I felt like what I got out of it was even more my Draculo character. I was able to open the porthole even more and conjure up his spirit after this exciting journey to Austin to film with you guys. When I'm going to perform in front of 1,000 people or 100, 10,000, I know that my songs have different characters, so I know I need to open the porthole for each spirit throughout the whole show. I just go right into it. I say my blessings and I dive right into it. But for this, I knew the character, but I didn't know how much I was going to grasp it. And I didn't know how much I was going to be able to live up to that spirit. I think it helped a lot being frozen and it being outside, and we were in no clothing, and it just helped me be this savage. And I think you guys, the crew, everybody was very helpful directing me to conjure that savage, pinpointing the words that triggered his vibe. I felt it was very serious. My first real serious role. I've done no talking film before, very little dialogue. I think my first short movie that I was a main actor in, I didn't speak, but this was a feature and I was in love with my character. I really loved being this savage maniac, thirsty for blood, so happy to end it all and pass it on to another beautiful being that was going to take over the life of a savage, a bloodthirsty maniac. There was two scenes probably that were most challenging. Obviously, the lake scene through the woods, we wanted to get it right. The challenge was the cold. And then another shot in the bed, being still because of the cold and being still, you find your inner peace, breathing and heating up your body. Watching Amy cry 1,000 times was amazing. So I was like, if she can do that, I can be still and not, shiver. I loved Amy's character. She was so serious, powerful on screen. I loved the connection we had, almost like awkward. Her aura it penetrates. You can see what they're saying through their eyes and through their actions, and their emotions come out of the camera. And I love that the little dialogue I did have was poetic and vibrant. Overall, I felt really comfortable with my character. For me, it wasn't as challenging with no dialogue because I felt more connected that way. I feel like it helped the character be this mysterious savage, like a Spaniard or some descent of Spanish. And it added this light to the character of maybe his past being conquistador, colonial, or something, maybe even Mexican, Native American, but, taken from the past. How long has that character lived for? How many centuries? It's a mystery. It adds to the mystery, I felt. Even though off camera, the set was playful and fun, and it was a family vibe. Everybody was nonstop laughing and enjoying themselves. When it was time to be in front of the camera, it was so easy to just like, no, we're shooting this insane horror movie that pushes boundaries, and it was easy for me to be motivated. And it was such a short time we shot. I was there for only 8 days. I felt blessed to be part of it, and I felt like I was right where I needed to be. The character was insane. I'm blessed because I know a lot of people have a hard time getting into character. I think maybe that I didn't have much dialogue helped me just be this, that's who I am, this maniac. I was happy it was that character because it was completely the opposite vampire that I was working on in my record. So I trusted the director as well as I trusted myself. This logo around my head is a Bermuda Triangle, which I was born in, and some people say it's the porthole to the universe via Earth cycle. But it also just means to me how my life has been enlightened with the supernatural, how the triangle pentacle, just all of its energy comes down on us, and the light. I think to my character, it was something he was connected to, like the rings he was wearing. You could tell it touched him personally. He was always wearing the rings. When he gave Amy the ring, what was he thinking? What did he want her to think? I don't think he wanted her to think that she was going to be the next vampire yet. Definitely, he gave it to her because she was going to be the next vampire. He saw great potential in her. And that's why my character stalked her and chased her for nights, hypnotized her, and possessed her to do these things. It knew that she was it. It was his time to go, and it was their time to shine, Part 2 or part 3, it should be her turn to feed. My grandma was a high priest, Santera. From when I was a little kid, it was just a thing to have the supernatural always around. Interesting things we couldn't talk about at school. It would always be like, don't tell anybody this is happening at your house. It was just insane to think that most of that stuff doesn't happen with everybody, and we were lucky enough to experience it and be safe, not poisoned by it. I mean, there was always like, oh, they did witchcraft on you and that, and but we're still here, we're alive, we're safe. A lot of my music and a lot of my different characters come out through that connection I have to the supernatural. I write about it all the time in my music, and this just connects it even more. All the elements and all the atoms of every existed energy, molecule, spirit, everything is always in the universe. And, we can tap into it if we want to, if we believe in it. At the same time we were shooting this, I was working on the Draculo EP. And Draculo is a folklore vampire. Drinks blood, but it's from the butt cheek. It's not because Draculo, culo is butt. My son thinks Draculo is legit, like doesn't know who Dracula is. It's always Draculo. He's like, oh look, it's a vampire, Draculo. He enjoys the folklore so much, and that's his reality. That vampire is the cool one. Tropical, living whenever it wants, not scared of the sun, butt cheeks, drive him crazy. Since I was a kid, my first memory of going to the dentist was they wanted to file my fangs. My mom was like, no, we're not going to file his fangs. He doesn't have issues, but the dentist was like, no, it'll look better, and I'm glad my mom stood up and was like, no filing of the fangs, because I've had this connection to vampires, since then. And just that shot in the movie makes me happy, that was a big shot. I've always connected to vampires because, people, obviously I had fangs and people were always like, oh, are you a vampire? And my name was Mad Transylvanian. People were always like, oh, he's a weirdo. But on top of all the cool movies from, Nosferatu, Lost Boys, Alucadra, like, oh, this is a cool spin on it. This is a really cool spin on the Vampyre. For me, it's already a cult classic in my mind. Some of the images are just mind-boggling. The movie lives up to my high expectations of elite film, cinematic films.